I'm Fletcher Brown. I promised you a guest. Now, we haven't had any in-studio guests really it's been like right at a year now. COVID has really kind of taken the wind out of our sails. But that doesn't mean that really fantastic people don't still reach out and find ways to communicate with us and, by extension, you. Now, I've got on the phone with me. I mentioned earlier, if you went to Facebook, you saw, I've been talking to you for the last hour or so about special guest in the studio, technically in the studio because it's on the studio phone. Please welcome from Nashville, Tennessee, by way of the great state of Florida, and a 2016 Top 24 finalist on the iconic television show American Idol. Please welcome Emily Brooke. Emily, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to Kicks 96, and I would say welcome to Muscle Shoals, but you've been here.
I have. Yeah, I've been there a few times this past year. It's been amazing.
For the folks that watch American Idol, and I know the show still has an amazing, major following. I remember I've watched it since the first season. I check in, and you may remember from 2006. You may remember from 2016 that Emily was in the top 24 on American Idol. Very impressive, but that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I know.
My math is bad. You were what, 16, 17 then?
Yeah, I was like 15, 16
oh my
when
gosh.
I was on the show. It's crazy, wow. Yeah.
And now you've, in the years that have followed, you've moved to Nashville. What made you decide to move to Nashville?
Yeah, so after the show, I really started because I started coming to Nashville when I was about 9 years old, and after I was on the show was really when I started coming to Nashville, like, religiously, like, almost every month, just, like, songwriting, and just kind of really trying to integrate myself with all the people in town and just meet new people and whatnot. And so after the show, I was probably, like, I think I was working, like, 3 jobs at the time in South Florida, and then I was also doing shows and stuff on the weekends, and that would pay for my trips for me to come up to Nashville for, like, a week or 2 weeks and just, like, write the whole entire time that I was there. So I was doing that for, like, a year and a half, and I finally was like, I should probably just make the leap and move out there, and it worked out perfect timing-wise with my roommate. So it was, I guess, God's timing.
Did anything that happened to you on American Idol, did any of that, like, did anybody on the show tell you, like one of the judges say, hey, you should consider relocating to Nashville? Was there any other kind of push like that?
I've actually talked to Keith Urban and Harry Connick the most, I would say. And Keith, of course, is like, make sure you're in Nashville soon. I feel like any artist that you talk to that's in country music is like, you got to be in Nashville. So there's that. And then at the finale of the show of American Idol, like, I went and I got to talk to Harry for a little bit, and he was like, don't let the show stop you. Like, you were my wife and I's favorite. Like, don't let this stop you.
That is huge.
Like, just keep going. Yeah, so that was definitely, like, a huge thing for me, especially him, like, at an after party, just, like, taking the time to talk to me. So he was such a great guy. Keith is such a great guy. Jennifer Lopez is amazing. Like, it was a great experience for me on the show, and it definitely gave me a lot of exposure, and I've met some really amazing people from it. So,
well, okay, obviously you are a young woman who is fully in control of her career and her plan for her career, so much so that you decided you wanted to record your next project here in Muscle Shoals. Where did that inspiration come from?
So I have, like, a couple people that I've been working with that kind of help me, like, book write and just, like, connect with other people in the industry. And I've been really blessed with the opportunity. I've met a couple people that I write with down in Muscle Shoals, and so we've created a couple songs down there, written a couple songs down there, and recorded some demos for them. So it's been really cool just having that energy from, like, Fame Studios and whatnot. Like, it was so sick. I was definitely, like, shocked the first time that I was able to, like, write and record there. It was a really cool experience. But yeah, it's been super awesome.
Did you know much about Muscle Shoals before you first came? Like, did you know about the music history for here?
I did, yeah. So one of my friends that I was talking to was like, "Oh, I'm in Muscle Shoals," and I was like, "Oh, like where is that? Like, what is that?" Me being ignorant and dumb, and also just blonde, not like realizing. Because my bandmates in South Florida have actually told me about the history of the studio and the town before, and I just completely did not, like, connect the two dots. But my friend was telling me how she was there, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, and she's like, there's a documentary, right? And I was like, oh. So I watched it that night. I stayed up till, like, 3 o'clock in the morning watching it. It was so cool. So, yeah, I definitely learned a lot about the history before I actually went there.
Absolutely. Okay, so which studio did you record in?
At Fame.
Oh gosh, I love those guys over at Fame. You stood in some of the most, and not to like change the subject because I'm not doing that, but that when you stand in there, you're standing in the same space as some of the most iconic names in all of music. What did that feel like for you?
It was insane. I was I was smart, and I showed up early to the right because I drove from Nashville to the studio, and I showed up probably like 15, 20 minutes before everyone else got there. So I was able to just kind of like soak it in, walk through, and it was so cool, especially, watching the documentary beforehand and seeing the film and like where people stood. Like, it was really just mind-blowing.
All right, so let's talk about the music. You've got a new album that you're about to finish. You've got the first single that's basically cut. It's "Easy on Me" is the song. Is that one that you wrote?
Yeah, it is. So my kind of like original plan for releasing music, it's taking a little detour because originally I was wanting to. Well, I guess this is a little surprise, but how it's going to be on the EP is that it's going to be like a storybook. So through the roller coaster of like a relationship, and it didn't start off as a concept EP, and it kind of turned into that because after like looking at all the songs that I had written that were kind of like my favorites, and I was like, wow, this is literally like following along like the start of a love and the heartbreak, and then like the recovery after it, and so. Originally, I was going to release a different song as the first single, but I was posting on TikTok about different songs that I've been writing and recording and whatever, and Easy on Me was the second one on there that had blown up, and it has like almost 500,000 views on TikTok, and it just feels right, and I feel like God has a funny way of like, he has a funny sense of humor, because that was actually the first true relationship breakup song that I had. I wrote it about like my first boyfriend, and that was like the first song I had actually written about a guy that I had dated. And so it's funny that turned out being the one that blew up the quickest and the fastest, and is going to be coming out first on this next project.
Well, I've heard the song. It sounds great. Did you get any advice from anyone? I'm assuming that the people that are working on the album with you here in Muscle Shoals are from here. Did you get any Muscle Shoals sound-esque advice about the mix or about just how you do it?
I feel like I usually going into writes and meeting with different producers and stuff. It's definitely cool getting the vibe from all different types of, people in Nashville or people in Muscle Shoals, LA, all the different places and stuff. But I kind of have always had, a vision in my head how I want my music to sound and how I write, and that's just, I feel a little bit different. And so it's been definitely helped me a lot, going to Muscle Shoals and also being in Nashville and, growing up in South Florida, having kind of the different, music cultures and stuff, that have kind of helped me hone in on that, a lot better and pull from different things where I'm like, oh, this is, so me.
All right, well, if folks are really, really excited about new Emily Brooke album and the single, where can they go to find you, online?
They can go to Emily, if you look up Emily Brooke on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all of the things. you can find me on there. And if you go to any of my social medias right now, there is a pre-save link for this single coming out next Friday.
And that's Emily Brooke, our guest today. Thank you so much, Emily, for being here. And we'll talk to you again soon, all right? That when the album drops, you've got to come back and talk to us again, okay?
Oh, yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right. Talk soon. Bye.